Wall Street pulling a bit further off record highs. This is AP News. Poland says Belarus is taking away migrants from a border camp.
A day after Polish border guards train water cannons on a large number of migrants, Poland's president says there's no military threat at the EU's border with Belarus, where thousands of migrants watched over by Belarusian forces are pressing to reach the bloc's soil, and where Poland has deployed troops in rear areas. On Tuesday, hundreds of migrants, including women and children, were moved from freezing camps on Belarus's border with Poland to a huge warehouse. And Germany's Angela Merkel spoke with Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko in an attempt to improve the worrying humanitarian situation for thousands of migrants at the border. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Energy companies including Shell, BP, Chevron, and ExxonMobil offered a combined $192 million for drilling rights on federal oil and gas reserves in the Gulf of Mexico in the first government lease auction under President Biden. Ed Donahue, AP News.
Always on the go? Missed the show? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to GuardianTalkRadio.com and clicking on the podcast tab. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you with fresh news and smart talk anywhere, anytime, all day.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
You have to be strong in today's world. Keep your focus and what you believe in, how to achieve all your dreams. Keep moving forward. Never accept less than who you are. Live your best life. Be strong and
The Hits Back with Nahash Black is sponsored by Atlantis Paradise Islands, the Ministry of Health, Fidelity Bank Bahamas, Cable Bahamas, Rev Christmas, and Baja Retreat and Spa.
Nahash your black. It's the hit back. With Nahash your black.
Good afternoon, Bahamas, and welcome to the Hit Back. I'm your host, Nahaja Black. It's a beautiful day here in the 242. Hope that you are doing well, taking care of yourself, living your best life today. We've got a big show for you. When I say big show, I mean the content is going to be rich and deep. It's going to be weighty as well. I want to say good evening, special good afternoon to everyone who's tuning in. If you're listening in your car, if you're listening at home, if you're listening at your office, waiting and praying for 5 o'clock, God bless you. God bless you. I know it's almost time to go home. I want to say thank you to everyone who's listening on cable, who's listening via YouTube or Facebook. I appreciate all of you. Special thanks to all of our sponsors. I remember when we barely had any, and God has enlarged our territory here on the show. So special thanks to all of our sponsors and to all of you who have helped the Hit Back with Nahaja Black to grow. And a special thank you to all of my wonderful guests. I don't know why I'm in a thank you mood, but sometimes, that attitude of gratitude got to come through. I'm just very grateful. God has been good, and I thank you all for being a part of this experience with me on the show. And what happens with us, with the experience with me on the show, is y'all got to know I used to have a diary when I was younger. Like when I was younger, I think I was smarter. I won't lie to you. When I was younger, I think I was a little bit more emotionally sensitive. I think I was a bit wiser, right? Because I used to write everything down. Now that I'm older with children, who got time for that? You know what? I got time for that. Writing stuff down. That's a book. I can barely do a chapter. Ask someone to. I've had challenges where people say, Nahaja, we need a bio. I'm like, y'all can't figure it out. Like I have to write up my own bio. That's hard work. But this show and what I do is tended to be some sort of catharsis for me, right? Where I have the ability to share my thoughts, what I'm dealing with or going through, and I present it in the public forum. That shows you that I really might need to add more circles to my friends. because this is where I am. And the show tends to be cathartic, right? Where I get to share some of my thoughts and concerns. We got a lot of stuff today. But yesterday, I aired one of my brand new spanking shows. It was with Dr. Edrika Richardson, cuffing season. A lot of people were messaging me like crazy, wanting to know what cuffing season was. But what that did, though, was give me some room to meditate on the things that I found out yesterday. It gave me room to meditate on the news of the next video, the next thing, the next horrific viewing of our violence towards each other. It made me question, are we even redeemable? These are questions that I was going through. Are we as a people, are we so debased? Are we so, and not because by and large, the majority of us want or believe that domestic violence is doable, or that the majority of us would condone the violence that befell Bella, or the violence that the police gripped the young lady's neck, or all of the other violent episodes we've seen. Do we condone how someone can walk into a woman's house, shoot her daughter, and the other child runs for her life? Do we condone these things? No, we don't, but yet we do. And that those things concern me. I have two daughters, right? And I have a little boy. And I question, and that's why parenting is so important. And then it goes around in the circular loop in my head, that even though there are some people who grow up in multifamily, who grow up with both their parents, and they might find themselves in an abusive relationship. But I find that most times you'll find someone click out of that, especially if the relationship itself between mommy and daddy wasn't abusive. Now, if mommy and daddy had an abusive relationship, they will be drawn to that in some sort of crazy way, right? And I believe that it is healthy. And then there are those who can't go anywhere or leave an abusive situation because of finances. Or then there are those who might know, hey, my child is being molested by my boyfriend, or by my brother, or by my uncle. But boyfriend most likely in terms of I'll stay. Brother, uncle, you tend to kill him. I would hope you kill him. All you kill, but no, I don't mean that. I don't want anybody to say, well, Nahaja told me to kill folk. I didn't mean that. Take it all back. But you understand where I'm coming from. That there's so much in the social construct of this conversation, because the conversation can't be linear. And that's when I start to get a headache. The conversation on domestic violence, the conversation on child abuse, the conversation on any form of gender violence. I mean, these things are very much socially just very convoluted, meaning that there are different parts that connect to create this story. And each individual has a story. So then you have to start listening to the story. And what we tend to do as a society is come on the end and we react to one story and not listen to the entire. We got to read the entire book. Well, what do you mean? Well, just this part here too, right? Some parents. So we go back to parenting. I believe parenting is fundamental. But we go to one of the sayings that I always say: broken children become broken adults who build a broken society, right? When we're not protecting our children, then we're creating and fostering adults who are broken, need help, crying out, but don't even know how to cry. In particular, men, right? And don't know how to cry. But then you say, okay, well, how do you protect your child? There are many parents who probably have had this terrible experience. I can't even imagine you not being able to protect your child from a predator. That horrific experience, right? I can go back to the ramp, this thing, I don't even bring it up. But when we had this teenager violating little girls, you remember that recent history? This ain't old history, recent history. It's not a fault of parenting for the daughters that they missed this. It wasn't a fault of the little girl, the parents of the little girls. The children were going to school. It is a fault of how broken we are as a society. Then how do we help the parents when we have so many issues of poverty? When decisions have to be made where I got to go to work. I might know uncle a little shady, but I ain't got nobody else to watch them. What do I do? When we are trying to juggle, should I suffer a concussion for tonight so my children can sleep? we have to address fundamentally some really key economic things. How do we begin to really holistically, and that's why I get frustrated when I hear talks of the GDP, the economy moving. Where is growth really happening? Truly, to be empowered means to be free. That's why I always tell people, freedom doesn't come with money, it comes with mindset. When your mind is free, money will come to help enhance that freedom. When your mind is free, there are no limitations. When your mind is free, you'll quit a job if it ain't right. When your mind is free, you don't stay in a relationship that tries to contain you, constrain you. You may find yourself in it by surprise. But when you realize that there is some sort of oppression in a relationship, you leave. But when your mind is used to being oppressed, when you're used to oppressive systems, regimes, relationships, you've never been in a free land. You've never experienced freedom. And so we have this level of oppressive mindset that is inculcated in the fiber of our system. Only few can be free. Only few can have what others don't have. That separation. And then we have a society riddled with social ills, social wantings. And then we want to address domestic violence from a punitive end. Well, the fella got to go to jail. Yes. Oh, yes. But then you find out that this isn't the first time he's wreaked this sort of violence against this woman, allegedly. And then we ask, well, how are we able to do this again? What is going on? Now it gets more convoluted, the story. Now it gets more, we're asking deeper psychological questions. Why are we drawn to dysfunction? Why are we unable to find ourselves on a positive stream and movement? And how do you break free from the cycle? You know, I really do believe in generational curses. I really do. I do believe in soul ties. I really do. I believe that there are some things that you didn't see coming because it was etched in somehow. And, you know, they say, well, you know, some things are genetics and some things, I just say generational curses. How can you not break a cycle? You got to break some things spiritually. But we're going to have a prayer vigil. But what are we praying for? See, I'm all good with prayer. Prayer changes things. I need prayer to change mindsets, but we got to do some things because the Bible says faith without works is dead. So is the body is dead without the spirit. So is faith without works is dead also. So I need more than words and platitudes. That's why I get frustrated sometimes doing this show because that's all I got. And then I'm like, okay, how do I get myself in the trenches of bringing real change? How do you bring about real change for something so convoluted as a society that has deep ties to abuse? How do we hear children crying and we say, well, let's cut it. But when does the cry sound like we need to intervene? See, you know, we won't bring back the cat and nine tail. We want the electric chair. But then we don't think about the humanity of the fact that prisoners should be rehabilitated. Not all. I ain't gonna lie to you. If you're a sexual offender, if you prey on children, I ain't got no space for you in my world, you know. I have to go to God for that. If you're a serial killer, I ain't got no space for you in my world. I got no space for you. But we don't seem to have even any empathy on the fact that if prisoners can go, if you commit a crime, you will go and live in squalor, become an animal, released. And then we have this assumption that because you spent punitive years in jail, that you will be rehabilitated. You don't want to go back to jail. I've created an animal. So what would an animal do in the wild? Or bring them to be domesticated? A wild animal cannot exist in your house. So you want to put a wild animal in a civilized society and expect for them to not to lose their cool or not to rampage. See, these things are interconnected. That's why recidivism is so high. So I needed a break yesterday. I really did. I needed some time and some space because everybody wanted to tell me I didn't even know how the video ended. I'd seen enough at about 33 seconds in. I'd seen more than enough because I'd seen this before. We'd seen it before. And we'll see it again. if we don't start to change. See, people are looking, we start looking for heroes. We want a savior. That's what Christianity, what religion has done for us. One to save us all, right? One power to save us all. But if you truly believe in God, then you believe that you are a child of the King. That means the power of the King is living and residing in you. At any day, you can rise up in this moment and be king. At any day, you could be the Good Samaritan and be God to a person. Not an idol, but effectively live in your power in that moment. In that video, the woman who came to try and save that lady is a hero. But how do we help our neighbors? Some people, I know some people, you reach out for help and they don't take it. They don't take it. It's because they need to be awakened. The Bible says one man sows, the other water, but it is he who brings the increase. You just got to sow your seed. Sow the positivity. Be the person that someone can call. Now, there's some people who call you and all they want to do is dump their burden on you. Now, that's toxic. That's why you got to know who to refer folks to. But we have got to stop looking for a personal savior. When I say personal, not the humankind. That's why we get disappointed, you know. The Bible says that the arms of flesh will surely fail you. Personal, these people, we are people, we will fail. But in a moment, you can be great. And that is where I think we need to start saying, each one reach one. I saw that the Governor General is doing something with volunteerism, where they're seeking for us to volunteer more. And I personally now know I need to volunteer more. I've had a challenge with time. That's been one of my challenges recently, is how do I manage my time? I feel like I barely have any in the day. I really do. But I got to figure out how to do more. Because I think it's incumbent on all of us to do more, sacrifice a bit more of our time. Because our children need us. There are some children who will not have the parent. That parent needs to be parented. So we got to show up. The foundation of any society rests in its children. The future of any society rests in its children. We cannot lose another child to sexual violence. We cannot lose another child to physical abuse. We cannot lose another child when it comes to their education, their ability to be great. That is incumbent on all of us. I see too many children walking with adults when they should be in school. What do we need to get back to bring order to our society? And when I say order, decency and order, I'm not talking about law and order, decency, where we as a people are now, because now our brother's keeper, I'll say this, and I know I've been running on a bit, because I have my guest, Pastor Charlene Paul, joining us right on the other side of this break. But I hear stories of when, you sit in your yard and the parent, your neighbor would watch you, you're misbehaving, and the neighbor would be able to cut your hip. Child, at the end of the day, don't cut maturing hip. This could be crazy. Teachers can't even discipline some people's children, and they know their children bad. But we've got to come now to this sort of agreement that there is a national standard. I hear the Minister of National Security talking about we have to deal with the social ills, but there's no direction. How? How do we nationally deal with our social ills? What is the plan? Because see, to say it means nothing. We must create structure. You must get back to getting young people in safe environments to be children. That's very important to me. You got to protect the future. Protect it because you see it. We could stop the trend of violence if we can get to our young boys and step in and give them different role models. How families fall apart when there's not a dad. I got to shout out to all of the fathers. And I told this to my husband just today. I went to pick up my daughter from school. Normally, hubby does the picking up because I do the show. And what I saw yesterday, and I find that it's commonplace at private schools, but I remember when I was in government schools, I didn't see this a lot. But there's so many fathers that pick up their children. I think that is the most beautiful thing. So the fathers that are there, this narrative that there's a lot of fathers, dads who are there. They ain't perfect. And father, if you pick up your child, you love your child, but you beat your wife, you're out of order, you ain't right. Get it together. You're not a role model. You're just a person who picks up children. But we got men who are there. Now we need more of the men who are there to consider that they need to be there for other young men, because we're losing too many of them to violence. We're losing too many of them to the streets. We're losing too many of them to abuse. We're losing too many. And all of this is creating a cycle of a Bahamas that will not be recognizable. But on the charts in the world that say, oh, it's a burgeoning economy. But who is this economy for? If you can't live in peace, eat in peace, sleep in peace. If you can't give a homeless man, I just read a post. A lady says she went to give this old man on the corner of East Street and Robinson Road $1, and he decided to what do you call it? Flash her and her daughter. I gee. Some days I just say I gee. Is this the space? Is this the Bahamas? You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. When we come back, Pastor Charlene Paul, chairperson of the Sea Will Bahamas National Chapter, joining us. Caribbean Women in Leadership. I can't wait to have her joining us. We'll be back right after.
Fidelity, the holidays are all about family, spending time with loved ones, and being thankful for the little things in life. Worrying about bills should be the last thing on your mind, especially during the holidays. Let Fidelity help you get your bills under control. Fidelity can also get you started with a real savings plan that actually pays you interest. The only thing you need to think about is what you will do with the savings in your pocket this Christmas. Now that's what I'm talking about. Fidelity Bank is here for you this holiday season because you are family, and family is important to us.
Food security is a challenge for many. Now in a pandemic, many more are unsure of their next meal. Through their Feed 5,000 program and a $20,000 donation, AML is working to ensure that everyone has a meal for the holidays, and they're inviting you to help. Now until December 17th, visit any Solomon's, Costrite, Fresh Market, or Domino's in Nassau or Freeport, and Exuma Markets in Georgetown to donate and help feed a family in need this Christmas. No amount is too small. Remember, we're all in this together.
Your child needs nutrients every day, and Enfagrow has DHA and iron, which supports your child's mental development. Enfagrow has components which cow's milk does not contain. Support your toddler's growth and complement their diet with Enfagrow. Let's fuel the wonder. This product is not intended to be a substitute for breast milk. Milk does not contain DHA, but contains calcium and other nutrients.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I've got joining us Charlene Paul, chairwoman of Sea Will. Joining us today, Sea Will Bahamas, the national chapter for Sea Will Bahamas, joining us. Madam Paul, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. Welcome to the Hit Back.
Thank you kindly, Nahaja, and good afternoon, Bahamas. It is certainly good to be here. Not good what we have to talk about, but it's certainly good to be here.
Yeah, and and speaking of what we have to talk about, Madam Paul, Caribbean Women in Leadership, right? You represent leaders, female leaders across, for the Bahamas. You are heading that up. And, the issue of gender-based violence, of issues of abuse, women and children, and even men, just abuse. We've just abused it. It needs to be addressed. But I, like many others, I think we have reached a plateau on words. I'm wordy. So how do we, what is Sea Will when you see all of this happening? What is Sea Will saying and saying that it needs to do and needs to see in country to change this narrative, to change who we are?
So first and foremost, Nahaja, we in Seville are grieved, we're outraged that we've at this level of violence in our country and that it actually is happening on our watch. And that's what each leader in this country should be saying to themselves. This is happening on my watch. Mm-hmm. But it underscores the need for us to stand together. Mm-hmm. We have got to work at this together. Gender-based violence, domestic violence, abuse of women and girls is a very complex, deep-rooted issue here in the Bahamas, and can I say in the Caribbean in general. The Caribbean leads among the highest rates in the world with gender-based violence.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and it was such that, you know, the world's largest grant to support gender-based violence was actually made available for the Caribbean. That's recognizing just how bad it is here in the Caribbean. It's called the Spotlight Initiative. And the countries recognize that those people down there have a real serious problem. And so we here need to recognize how serious our problem is as well.
Yeah.
And so Seville is collaborating with a number of other NGOs, Zonta, Women United, Bahamas Crisis Center, etc., because we recognize no one organization can do this. And we've got to come together more as a people, leaders, transformational leaders, and say, let's fix this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I want to say here, you know, Dr. Trim warns us, thought leader, world-renowned, that you will find that where women are disempowered and oppressed, a weak and undeveloped nation will be present. And where women are strengthened and empowered, a strong and powerful nation will be there. When we talk about women in leadership, we're not just saying because we want to be in position. We're saying we are needed to balance,
yes,
to bring the solutions,
mm-hmm.
to help execute, to get action done. We need each other. And so this is going to take collaborative effort. And I am with you. This is not so much thinking of punitive methods only. We have to look holistically. Gender-based violence is a holistic challenge to us as a people. So we need all hands on deck. We need all of the safety networks of a society. That's the family, that's the church, and that's the government and civil society. We need all the safety networks working together, Nahaja.
Mrs. Charlene Paul, Seville Chairwoman, joining us on the show here. You know, Madam Paul, one of the things that we've said, and but I've said many times, is that, listen, even when we have issues of domestic abuse or violence, if a mother wants to protect her children from when she finds out that there's an abuser in the home, where do we run? We have a housing crisis in the Bahamas just for people who want to buy a house. But then there is an issue of where do we run? That the cost of an apartment, a one bedroom, is so high now compared to what it used to be just 4 years ago. We're seeing, so a lot of us are being pushed out of even the economic option of first, last, and security. But when there's an emergency, there's nowhere to run. How do you see organizations such as yours, Seville, Zonta, Women United, all of these other groups coming together to help to create some real solutions in terms of how do we protect folks when they want to get out and when they want to get away? Because I think that that's a major concern.
It is. It's a major concern. Safe houses. We know that from international standards, we do not have sufficient safe houses based on our size, not even considering based on the prevalence of violence in our nation. So we know that there is a shortage there. And we've had a number of organizations who've been working on this issue. But this, again, is another one where more collaboration, is needed to bring it to fore. We have been working, and the key here is, listen, government can make available property, and very quickly we can rally the troops and garner donations to do these kinds of things. And these are some of the things we have been discussing and working on. But you're right, we have to up the ante. We have to move a lot more quickly. Unfortunately, we have this, in the past, it's been an over-reliance, just on government to do some things. But we as a people need to take responsibility, just step up to the plate and say, if it's to be, then it's up to me. And so we need more of this. And this is where the collaboration is necessary. A number of things, and I'm not knocking anyone, because I am aware of a number of organizations who have made inroads in this regard. But the bottom line is, more is needed. And I would say to the Bahamian public listening, and those who are outraged, those who want to help, be ready, so that when it's time to put your money where your mouth is, we can all do so.
Yes. And I'm so happy you said that, because I think that's something important too, where when you and say, for example, you and I, Ms. Paul, we may have the time to get it done, but we don't have the resources. And the resources has been one of the major issues, right? I would say, listen, if the government gave us 3 bits of crown land, one on each island, on a separate island, so that you create your own railroad of systems where these places are not broadcast, so that your user could come, but that we have a network where someone goes to see, will say, listen, I'm in trouble. Someone goes to phone and say, hey, I'm in trouble. Someone goes to the crisis center. Hey, I'm in trouble. That network then says, okay, we are going to pick you up. We have a system. We're going to pick you up. We're going to get you on this flight because we have the funding. Where it comes down to is we need the funding. So creating that space where people can say, listen, every month I'm going to give this entity based on a subscription, because, we all got subscriptions. I don't know, a lot of us Bahamians have subscriptions where you can say, hey, at least once a month, automatically, I give $10 to this entity. And then when you do that, the government has already given us crown land on each space. We can we can build. Urban Renewal can help us build one of their works. Urban Renewal can help build us some shelters, and we can help supply them with resources if need be. But I do believe that there are things that we can do.
This is possible.
Yeah.
Very doable.
Yeah.
What it takes is willpower.
That's what it is.
And the willingness, Nahaj, and I must reiterate this and really land this. It's the willingness for us to work together. And I do believe we have a renewed sense and desire to do so. I am in meetings with several leaders, so I know that there is that desire for us to work together on this. Even the Office of the Spouse of the Prime Minister would have been involved as well, and very much keen on making this happen. And so I say, listen, let's use this outrage, let's channel this now and provide these key elements of infrastructure that are needed to undergird what we're facing. But just to pivot quickly as well, we need a lot more education. We'll be surprised at how many people, they may know they're hurting, they may know they're being abused, but really are not still aware of avenues, options that they do have.
Yeah.
So we have to not only seek to provide help to the victim, we have to provide help to the perpetrators.
That's right.
Meaning we have to help them come to the understanding and the awareness, because they're in bondage. When you live like that, you are in bondage.
Yes.
And almost to the point of demonic bondage, especially when you reach the place of the level of savagery we have seen.
Yes. Yeah.
So we have to also find ways to reach them, and public awareness, teaching, preaching. Some things need preaching as well. And that's the level of bring conviction, to speak to the soul and the spirit of individuals. We need all hands on deck.
All hands on deck. And you know, one of the things there, Ms. Paul, is that I believe in intention, right, Madam Paul? I believe in intention. I believe in the power of intention, not attention.
Absolutely.
Because we pay a lot of attention to things. So today there's this outrage, and you know, we'll have all of the ministers say X, Y, and Z. Oh, this is not this, this is not that. Oh, we don't like this. But then there will be something else, and we will lose attention to the matter. But there was never any intention to resolve a matter, and that is where the challenges lie with me. Is that we must be a people of intention. So what does that mean? If you see that. We realized there's something, a scary stat or number that showed up. Number one in the region in rapes is the Bahamas. Okay? Hear me. We don't strive for one anywhere else. We didn't strive for being number one with dealing with COVID. We seemingly don't strive for being number one in education, but we won number one in rapes in the region. Wow. And that there should be a national shame.
That should be that should be what we're all upset
national
about.
Shame. We should hang our heads in shame.
Absolutely.
And immediately, from a touristic point of view, you don't want no one else in the world to know you are number one in rapes. Rapes. And my thing is, Mrs. Paul, there should be an intentional shift that be reduced to the last place finish in the region in rapes.
So here is the thing with that, Nahaja, and this is where we make our appeal to our lawmakers as well, those charged with the responsibility of keeping civil society safe. That's the first and foremost role of government. Mm-hmm. Laws and their effective enforcement do control, contain, and restrain behavior.
Yes.
Now, the Bible tells us that where there's no vision, the people perish, or in other translation, cast off restraint. Mm-hmm. What we're dealing with is a casting off of restraint. And one magistrate put it that have we gone wild? But vision is demonstrated in the provision of appropriate laws, systems, and infrastructure to govern and direct behavior towards the desired outcomes. Mm-hmm. We need stronger laws, but enforcement of those laws where violence against women and girls in particular are perpetrated. So we need the systems, the infrastructure. Yes. That includes the courts, the specialized units to address domestic and sexual violence. These measures work. We've seen it in developed and progressive nations. We do not have to reinvent the wheel. So I call on our lawmakers. Transformational leadership is stepping up to the plate and putting in place the governance structure. Then we have a lot of lawyers that make our parliamentary caucus. So I say to our lawmakers, make it happen.
Yes.
That's what leaders do. That's what leadership is. And right now, this cry that is coming out, and this is, Nahaja, we have been crying and we've been working on this for a number of years. 2015, the government of the day had a strategic plan for gender-based violence.
Oh, wow.
Created. And at the behest of the government, it was funded. It was Dr. Robin Roberts, Dr. Sandrine Patterson, and Justice Ruby Nottage was the substantive persons there. They laid out what our gaps are. They laid out the complexity, the depth of what we're dealing with and what it will take. They gave short-term, medium-term, long-term goals. They also gave 10 low-hanging fruit. So I say there is no excuse.
Wow. I'd love to see this report. This is powerful, Ms. Paul. I'd love to see that.
The report is on the World Wide Web. It's on the internet. It's And I would be happy to forward it to you.
Please, I would love to read that. So we've had that. We have a plan, a strategic plan.
We paid for it.
What a time.
We paid for it. It exists. So we do not have to go from scratch.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, let us come together, bind ourselves together, and hold our government feet to the fire. Do it. Make it happen. We don't need another Bella.
Thank you.
We do not need another lady to be dragged through the streets like an animal. We must stop. And we can do it. We are a group of intelligent individuals who live in this country. Surely we can do better than this. And I say each of us, because we cannot just point fingers. We must each look in the mirror and say, what is it that I can do?
Yeah.
And be ready. Caribbean Women in Leadership represent a group of women leaders. We are leaders. We are intelligent, competent, and ready to serve our Bahamian people. And so I call on our lawmakers, if you need assistance in making this happen, we've been ready and we've been working at this. But you've got to lead and you've got to enable us, empower us to do so.
We are ready. We are ready. Madam Charlene Paul, chairperson for CWIL. We'll be right back. More with Ms. Paul right after this. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We'll be back right after this.
We are working to protect our country, our people, and our livelihoods so that we can move forward. The vaccine is safe. The vaccine is easy. The vaccine is essential for our recovery. If we want to rebuild our economy, if we want to get back to our jobs, if we want to get back to our lives, our families, we must do this together.
Are you on the move? Busy running errands? Do you have so much to do that you don't have a lot of time on your hands? Have you gotten your COVID-19 vaccine yet? Well, if you haven't, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine may be the one for you. It's one and done and fully vaccinated for now. Yes, you only need one jab of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and you're done. Lower your risk of severe illness and death from COVID-19 by getting vaccinated. This message has been brought to you by the Ministry of Health and this radio station.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
And we're back. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Special guest joining me, Madam Charlene Paul, chairperson of the CWIL, Caribbean Women in Leadership Organization, a national chapter here in the Bahamas. Madam Paul, thank you. Powerful stuff that you've been sharing with us. And I'm so happy you brought up that document. Really, I did not know there was a strategic plan created. I like strategic plans. That means that it like you said, it shows you where the gaps are. It gives you the steps by which to execute, short, long, medium, long term. And so it's not an idea. It's a strategic plan of execution and action.
And by our very own experts in the field who have been working with this for years.
Yes.
You know, so it's well informed. And I would like to just add here, Nahaja, that because sometimes we forget our family islands. And so I want to really put an appeal here as well, because if you know the challenges that we face in New Providence, and for women with support, and where do they go? Well, you could just triple and multiple.
That's right.
Apply
What
that
happened
for
on
the
the family
family
island?
islands.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to also put that out there so that we keep them on our radar. We're working with a group now to do a gender-based violence initiative in Abaco. I know the Zonter and the Department of Gender and Family Affairs have been doing some educational and training programs for some of the stakeholders in the family islands to be able to support the efforts there. But the need is huge.
Yeah.
It's happening throughout the length and breadth of these beautiful islands, and the time has come for it to stop. Every family, I could dare say, every family, whether it's immediate or extended in some way, has been touched by gender-based violence, by abuse.
Yes. And what do you say to, I remember, if you're just tuning in, Madam Charlene Paul, Mr. Charlene Paul joining us, Civil Chairwoman, on the show with us today. I don't know if you remember maybe 3-4 years ago, I would say, and even recently in The Guardian, where there were questions asked across the board about violence towards women. And there was one question asked regarding if the woman was found to be cheating, is it okay for, would you understand her being abused? And women, by and large, would say, surprisingly gave a strong answer. Yeah, we can understand this abuse. It makes me very sad.
Very sad.
Very sad.
But it's indicative, Nahaja, of the educational awareness that we're talking about that needs to happen. Because unfortunately, that depicts the level of how we see ourselves.
Yes.
The low self-esteem that we have, the low self-worth that would ever give anyone the right to abuse another person. And so these are the things that all of us need to help to change the mindset. And I love your opening statements where you talked about the mindset, because if you're not free in your mind, you really will be bound in so many other ways. And if you are free in your mind, you know how to empower yourself to become free in the other areas. So that's where our work is. You know what? We've got to know the worth and value of each human being.
That's it.
And so this is not just about women. This is about the human being, the essence.
Yes.
And it grieves me because we talk about being such a Christian nation, but we do not know what that Bible really says, and two, we do not live it.
That's it. Preach it.
And so I'm calling us out. I'm calling us out because the fact that we are a Christian nation should never be in the same sentence that we rank number one in rape against women and gender-based violence in the region.
Crazy.
So that tells us we are not doing enough. Period. No. We may be doing a lot of things, and I know a lot of organizations who are doing a lot of things, but bottom line, it's not enough.
And you have to ask this question, right? My question then is, we have, Mrs. Paul, we have so many, everywhere we look, there's a church, yeah? Everywhere you look, there's a church popping up. We have this running joke in country, have a church there, you got a bar, right? As it's just,
an indictment.
Exactly. And so you say, how many of these folks are in church? How many sisters are sitting with me in church and are abused at service? And this is not about class either, because you got the wealthy who are getting abused just as equally as the poor, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So it is a mindset thing for sure. And then we also, and you hit on some things that were so important, that we need to then have a lot more education. And how do you change a culture Organizational culture, they say it takes 2 years from the change of a CEO. It takes 2 years to filter down. So there's an intention with cultural change. It got to start with an intentional mandate from the top. And then we go to our children to ensure that we create new generations that aren't with the old culture.
Yes. But the Bible also teaches us, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, lack of a know-how, lack of understanding of God's original plan and intent. And so we need the knowledge to be preached and teached, if that's the word, taught, right? We need that knowledge to be disseminated. And we need the kind of revival of awareness of being my brother's keeper. The revival of awareness of doing unto others as I would have done unto me. The revival of awareness that I will give an account. So what is seen what's in the dark, you may think, it's being kept under wraps and the wife is too ashamed or too afraid to talk. The children may be too ashamed or afraid to talk, but be sure your sins will find you out and you will give an account. We need the kind of revival that brings a conviction to the hearts, because only the Spirit of the Lord can convict the hearts of men to change.
Yes.
And so we need, and the church should be leading this charge to preach and teach against violence, against abuse.
Yes. Programs in the church.
Absolutely.
Listen, man, anger management should be something where this week is Men's International Week. And I'm very happy that it's Men's International Week, but it's happening very much so on a scale where it is not as personal as we need it to be. And so it is just to bring awareness, and which is excellent. And the programs and the itinerary that they have this week is exceptional. And I commend them for this. But I believe that this is something that should happen all through every ministry and every church.
Absolutely.
Own your community. Own your community. Own your community. Don't be
right
in the building.
there.
Be in that space.
Right there.
Right there.
Own the community. The community, the church in the community should be discipling that community. The church in that community, we're called the light of the world for a reason. We're called the salt because the light is supposed to dispel the darkness of evil, the darkness of lack of understanding and knowledge and awareness. The salt that we are called to be supposed to preserve the moral fortitude, the what is good, what is pure in each of us, what is innocent. That's what discipling a community is for. And so I call each church, each pastor to take charge of your community. Ensure that you are reaching into that community, teaching, talking about these things, that it's wrong to abuse your wife, your partner, your children. It's wrong.
We got a lot of healing to do and a lot of work to be done, and enough of this. We could march for gambling, but the church can't get together to protect women. You see, this is where I have issues, you see. I have my issues. All right. Pastor Charlene Paul, thank you so much. Chairperson of Seawills Group, I appreciate you so much for joining us today on the show. Thank you again.
Thanks, Nahaja. Good to have you. You have
to
me.
be had on the show.
Yes, thank you.
All right. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black. Listen, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of things that needs to be dealt with this conversation and this topic. When we come back, I'm looking forward to having my good friend, Pastor Corey Rolle will be joining us, as well as Khandi Gibson from FOAM. Great community activists and workers. I mean, they've been on the ground and they stay on the ground doing the work that you don't know is happening, and that's why we got to put our money where our mouth is, and Khandi needs some support. Make sure we give Khandi and we support all of these different organizations that need our support to help our women and our children. You're listening to The Hit Back. And if you're uncomfortable, fellas, we're talking about the empowerment of women. It is a personal issue that now you need to go and check yourself. Because it's just like when you say Black Lives Matter, all of a sudden, folks who can't handle that say all lives matter. No, you're small-minded. You're missing the point. You're listening to The Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We'll be back after this.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Good afternoon. I'm Tashina Robinson with your Guardian Network News headlines at 5. Here's what's topping the news at this hour. Wife of the Prime Minister Anne-Marie Davis calling for greater national discussion on the issue of marital rape. She expressed her displeasure with recent high-profile acts of violence against females and vowed to be an advocate for women's rights. In labor matters, businesses have until March 12th to decide if they will retain or terminate furloughed workers. Under the emergency orders, sections of the Employment Act were suspended, allowing businesses to keep workers laid off beyond 12 weeks without automatically triggering a severance payout, since technically these employees weren't made redundant. Some employees have been furloughed since the onset of the pandemic in March 2020. Meantime, the Public Service says it's reviewing election hires under the Minnis administration. It's been 2 months since dozens of workers received new jobs and are being paid while at home, since there's nowhere to put them. The Ministry of Health and Wellness confirming 16 new cases of COVID-19, 14 in New Providence, and 1 each in Abaco and Eleuthera. Today, there has been 22,629 confirmed cases of COVID-19 with a national death toll of 669. That is, around 3% of those who contracted COVID-19 are known to have died from it. Presently, there are 10 persons with COVID-19 in intensive care units at Doctors Hospital, PMH, and at Grand Bahama Health Services. In other news, owners of small and mid-sized businesses aren't jumping in to offer an online shopping experience to their customers, even though they recognize e-commerce as a means to broaden their customer reach. A Chamber of Commerce digital transformation survey found a positive shift in how businesses think about and use technology for business continuity, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, when for some businesses, the platform pivoted from a luxury to a necessity. More than half of the businesses surveyed did not launch an e-commerce platform, even though it was recognized as a means of overcoming COVID-19 restrictions. And with that, we wrap up your headline news at this hour. I'm Tashina Robinson. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. AP News is up next.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Coronavirus update. I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. Stocks finished lower. The Dow down 211 points. White House Coronavirus Response Coordinator Jeff Zients says about 10% of kids 5 to 11 have been vaccinated against the coronavirus.
Just 10 days in, we have 1 vaccine site for every 900 kids. That compares to 1 vaccine site for every 3,500 Americans age 12 and older.
In Georgia, Travis McMichael testified at his own murder trial about his confrontation with Ahmaud Arbery.
I shot him. Why? He had my gun. He struck me. It was obvious that he was. It was obvious that he was attacking me. That if he would have got the shotgun from me, then it was this is a life or death situation.
McMichael says he encountered Arbery creeping around an unfinished house in his neighborhood 12 days before the shooting. I'm Ed Donahue.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the hit back with Nahasha Black. It's the hit back with Nahasha Black. It's the hit back with Nahasha Black. It's the hit back with Nahasha Black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahasha Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Okay, so I don't know if I've ever had Khandi on the show. I feel like I have, but I think if I did, it was so long ago, it don't count, right? I've had Corey Rolle on, my good friend. He's my, Corey and I we grew up together. I tell people Corey and I go way back. Now I got to call him Pastor Corey. What is that now? I gotta give my friend all of the accolades given to him. But before we get to him, I want to welcome this wonderful woman that I admire so much for what she stands for and what she does not stand for. All of the wonderful things that she does. Khandi Gibson, from Bahamas. Khandi, welcome to the show.
Welcome and thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show, Khandi. Khandi, tell folks. One of the things that I love about you is your tenacity, your stick to your drive, your passion, right? And I want to know, one of the things I've never asked, but I would like to know is that moment. What was that moment when you woke up and said, enough is enough, I've got to do something?
Well, to be honest with you, that moment was all my life, because all my life I did charity work, but when my last brother got killed, his name is Khandi. He was killed April 17, 2012. And we went to social services and national insurance. And after, when your loved one is murdered violently and they get killed and they don't leave no contribution inside this national insurance, their survivors, their children gets nothing. And that was like the pin right there. I was like, Mommy, so you could imagine if Andrew left 6 and Khandi left 1, and they don't have sufficient contribution in NIB, and so therefore their children gets nothing. Mommy, how much other persons lost their loved ones, kids lost their father or mother through murder and don't have sufficient contributions, their children gets nothing. So FOAM was started because of the kids. The kids shouldn't be deprived of anything because their mother or father didn't have gainful employment, don't have sufficient contribution in NIB.
And for those who are not familiar, what does FOAM stand for?
FOAM stands for Families of All Murder Victims. The V is silent.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that folks who know FOAM though is FOAM does a lot. Just does a lot. I remember I can't remember what it was going on, but I remember when I reached out to you, you were trying to find housing for a lot of single mothers around that time, mothers who were, and I don't know if it was during COVID, I don't know if it was Dorian, I don't remember what it was, but you were talking to everyone in media, I need help to get resources, to get families involved. Tell us about what FOAM is doing now.
Naja, to be honest with you, FOAM does everything. We're an octopus with many different arms. We don't, for us to turn somebody away, it must be, for us to turn someone away, it must be something. It must be something. Like the person calling me a messenger, mother said. Hold on. Once to turn someone away, I found a client. Sorry about that. That's my phone always ringing. For us to turn someone away, it has to be something we honestly can't help with, or we don't have. Like for instance, like during COVID-19, which is last year, was a couple of boys been arrested. They were going to court without no attorney. We had pro bono attorneys on board that were assisting the young men as they went to court. We had persons on board that were paying their fines and so forth, so they couldn't go to Foxhill prison. And so we were doing that. Then we had, before COVID, we had mothers that had nowhere to go, and so therefore I turned my mom's house, the house that I grew up in all my life, I turned that into a female shelter where we just just house, just strictly just females. But during COVID-19, we had men were being evicted as well, and they didn't have any place to go. So therefore, it's no longer a female shelter, it's now a housing project because we have we have 3 female family there, and then we have 2 single male with kids, but the kids don't live with them. So we're doing that also. We provide new and used all crap. I guess it's very important. This person called me back twice. We provide a new and used clothing for children, and in fact, the whole entire family provide new and used clothing for. We provide Pampers. We provide milk. Because a lot of guys, when they kill, they're leaving their girlfriends pregnant, or their girlfriend with children still wearing Pampers and so forth. So we try to have a little bit of everything here. So when persons come, they're not turning away. We also, during last year, we're paying we had a rental assistance program going on because we couldn't house everybody. Last year we had like 27 person at our housing project. We had a family of 4 living in my office, and I took on 3 single females to my house. And so it's like, yes, I try my best to help as much, because the Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. And the Bible also tells us that little is much with God. And I know what it's like to be lower than low. I know what it's like not to have. And so therefore, little I have, I don't mind sharing with others. But at some time, it can become overwhelming and tiring, because, like, and then there's only so much you could do without no funding. You could have a bit right now. Right now, Naja, I am pushing forward more than ever. We need a 24-hour. We need a 24-hour safe care for our little darlings in this country. We beyond the 9 to 5 and the 8 to 4 babysitting now. We're 24 hours. I want mothers to feel like when they go to work, their children are, especially their girl children, their boy children, their teenage children, their children are in safe care. Well, mother said this woman, I just tried to call and she keep calling back. This must be really serious, because she wouldn't even check my page.
Listen.
And so,
if you need to take that call, because I know you do some important stuff. I know if you need to
but
take
I can't take it because she's calling me via inbox, which means you would hear the conversation. So I know what she's going through, so I wouldn't expose her to that. So therefore, but I'll call up, I'll get back to her, like I said. So therefore, we'll be extremely busy. But my main focus right now is Bella is a safe haven for children, for when mothers go to work, and they can leave their children are safe. Someone that help them with their homework, make sure they get a hot meal. And that's my main plight. I just put on my page that I'm believing God for building. Like, I have the vision. I's the mastermind. I have the vision. I know what needs to be done. And so therefore, it's just the funds coming now to put this in play. And so I would, while I'm on the show, I would admonish, I would ask, I would beg. I other people beg, so let me beg too. Yes. I would beg people please participate. We don't just have murder victims' families. I'm gonna run through now. My passion is the children whose mother and father lost their lives in a demon called murder. Now that's my heart, because I have nephews and nieces whose fathers murdered, and so that's my heart. But no one will be turned away. We want to make sure that whatever we have trickle down to the community, because my focus is building a better Bahamas, one community, one family, one individual at a time. I think if we all come together and do our part, we on that road. But what I've seen happen is the fighting, is the pulling, and this is why I have an issue now. Like, they have their meeting, and that meeting is just for secular people. Certain people don't sit at that table. But at the end of the day, the certain people who sit at that table, they're not on the ground. When the high-tech NGOs are closed, phone 24 hours, they get Khandi Gibson. So I said, like, when people call my phone, and I be like, oh, they WhatsApp episode. I say, these people don't think I be off it. You understand me? But when they reach out to me, I don't want to ever hear someone commit suicide because they reached out to Khandi Gibson. She didn't answer a call, or she didn't respond back. You understand me? And so, thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Professor Bria. Thank you so much. And yes, I don't want no one ever commit suicide or go pick up a firearm or have to go sleep with somebody because they reach out to phone and phone didn't answer the call. You understand me? So when they call me, if they have to come to my house, and I tell anybody, my office is supposed to be my office, but my house is my office too. Because at the end of the day, when I dare today tomorrow, I can't get a house with me. So therefore, I send you my Google Map to my house, come to my house here, buy a grocery. You need a size, this color, the size pants. I have the size shoes for work, or you just get a job interview and you don't have the size. I have my clothes. Come to my house fit. it's like I'm not holding nothing back from nobody. Because when I died, Naja, I went die empty. Whatever I have is the people who I ain't holding on to nothing.
Khandi Gibson, Foam founder, joining us on the show. And I think, boy, Khandi, this is why I needed to get you on today, because there's organizations like yours that's on the ground in the community. Enough talking. When you see situations like domestic abuse, I know you know what that looks like, because your place is a shelter. You've created those shelters. Before I bring on my good friend Corey, Pastor Corey Rolle, in what you've been doing, being a shelter, Khandi, tell us about, do you have a lot of women, a lot of issues of domestic abuse in those calls? Tell me about it.
Naja, to be honest, Naja, I just had a call just a few minutes ago. A WhatsApp message. This lady is telling me that she's feeling afraid of her boyfriend. And Naja, while I sympathize with females, because I just crack a joke yesterday on Facebook. I say I was dating this guy one time. Naja, we was engaged. Naja, he slapped me so hard, my head spun like a top. You know what I mean? Like a top. I saw the American flag with birds around it.
Yeah.
I can laugh at it now. You know what I mean?
You saw the whole world.
You understand me? I can laugh at it now, but even though that time it was, to me, it wasn't funny because I was the victim. I gathered strength. I walk away from that relationship, and guess what, Naja? And you can tell I wasn't a problem, because a few years later, he would have met somebody else, and he blacked their eyes too. So it goes to show that we have a lot of young men in this country, Naja, in relationship. They walk around with a bop, but they're broken.
Yes.
They are broken. You understand me? They walk with a bop, but they come from broken home. But like back to what I said earlier, this lady reached out to me and she showed me where like her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend was threatening and harassing. And I asked, I said, well, I said, looking from these messages, it sounds like you need police intervention. She said, oh, I don't want him to get locked up. And I was like, I say, I sympathize with her, because at the end of the day, when I tell you to go lock this man up, see, it isn't like the police going to give you 24-hour protection, because if he's of this caliber, you're not going to get no 24-hour protection. That's number one. So therefore, when you make up your mind now, you go ahead, you have them arrested, and if he's this violent type persons, because some their threat and their harassment don't just stop to the court now.
No,
they can go to prison. Still followed you. You understand me? So you now have to take safety measures and precautions to better you. But my thing about this is, you could try all you want to take safety measures. You still need funds. The majority of us, the average, many of us, we working, living from paycheck to paycheck. So when situations like these arise, you could go to social service. Social service, they put you up for a week. Now I know that changed from last year. But to my knowledge, they put you up for a week. I had a lady, Naja, she reached out to me for the domestic situation. And at the time, I already had 3 ladies staying with me. I bring in with a 4th lady. She was at my house with her and her son. And so I called the Minister of National Security, which was at that time was Minister Frankie Campbell, God bless his heart. And he sent us those services they was able to love. They dealt with us very fast. I told her I already have 3 in there, 3 in my house. I already have a family 4 at my shelter. And I already have 28 people to the shelter. So I have no more space. So they were able to give her a coupon, take her to a certain place. When I took her there, she works. Her child is in school. Her car has broke down. So she's like, well, how I can get my son to school? How I can get to work from here? So she said, no, sir, Miss Gibson, you could take me back home, please.
Wow.
And now I tried to take her back home. You understand? Take her back there. A week isn't sufficient for a person running away from abuse. But during the time, I use the time to talk to the gentleman and her. And by me talking to both of them on Naja, to my knowledge, we still in contact with each other. To my knowledge, she eventually, they stay together for a bit. I was able to talk with them and pray with them and so forth, because God don't strive in man always. You understand me? And then I tell people, teeth and tongue is bite. My teeth is bite, and I ain't gonna lie, Naja. Don't mind me coming on Facebook, smiling. I can say some little hurtful things when I get ready too. You understand me? And like I tell people, I tell guys, don't mind me. I say, man, look here, my heart's gonna miss my mouth, don't mind me, So the hardest thing on all women is our mouth.
Yes.
But don't let our mouth, like when guys, they tell me, Khandi, don't let your mouth cause your body pain in here. So I can laugh at it now, And the truth of the matter is, but don't care how hard our mouth is. You understand me? I feel like both persons now need to walk away. You understand me? Our problem is nobody walk away. You say A, he say B, he say B. You all see your way down to the F, and that's where the fight starts. You understand, buddy? Nobody wants to walk away. So now we have to walk away. The Bible said, kind word, turn away wrath. Our problem is we right now when the heat of the moment comes, both of us lashing out saying stuff. That's your mom, and I ain't like me. I calling your mom. That's your mom, boy. Don't hit me. You understand me? And niggas can't take you. Don't mind them telling you about your big pus and your big dig out this and your da whatever. When you call them mom, trust me, that's fighting words, and that's what the woman like do. We like say that's your mom. You understand me or whatever, and so. Yeah, so that's us. So we now have to walk away, man. You know, I can't word turn away wrath. And so I'm asking person now to show more love. Like when you see get a point, find that first the love that draw you together, that brought you together in the beginning. Go back, you reminisce back on that. Reminisce back on when you first caught her and when she first caught you. Reminisce back on that. And so I would even tell a person I like when the lady talk to me, Nahasha, I can't tell a boy leave their boyfriend. I can't let a boy leave their wife because I don't have no place to put them, Nahaja. And you can't come to me. I promise God I ain't bringing nobody else around me, my daughter. You understand me? And so it's just sad. And you have women, they in abusive relationships, Nahaja, and they want to come over where they go. Where do they go? A place for 1 week. You can't regather your thoughts in 1 week, Nahaja. You can't. Your life can't come together in 1 week, especially you have children who gotta go to school. Don't mind if you have to catch bus because your car broke down. You understand me? You have to catch bus to go to work. 1 week ain't sufficient. And I feel like we have too many. Go ahead.
No. Finish that thought because we got to take a break. Finish that thought.
Okay. Now, Haja, I feel like we have too much vacant buildings around this place not to have shelters in this country. When there was a hurricane during, they had to go to the stadium. We have too much vacant buildings.
Listen, Khandi Gibson, we'll be right back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I got a text. I want to read this text before I take this quick break. Says, no, Nahaja, you are wrong. And it's not just a personal issue. The pushback is real and never goes away because the reason is real. Your agenda is biased, but you and your guests, usually women, are biased. And so understandably, you can't see it. I'm not too sure what we're talking about here. But okay. All right. I hear you. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9.
Rev customers already get more channels, more sports, and more speed. Now, we're giving more Christmas with up to $250,000 in cash and prizes. Sign up or upgrade to Rev Trio to win prizes like rent and mortgage payments, trips to see your favorite sports teams, plus up to $20,000 in our Rev Cash Vault. Want to win more Christmas? Call 601-8992 today and ask for Rev Trio. Rev, you and us together.
Your child needs nutrients every day, and Enfagrow has DHA and iron, which supports your child's mental development. Enfagrow has components which cow's milk does not contain. Support your toddler's growth and complement their diet with Enfagrow. Let's fuel the wonder. This product is not intended to be a substitute for breast milk. Milk does not contain DHA, but contains calcium and other nutrients.
Rejuvenate, refresh, treat yourself. Immerse yourself in total comfort. Pamper yourself. After all, you're worth it. Relax. Rid yourself of all life's stresses. At Baja Retreat Anti-Aging Spa, you will find everything you need to enhance your body and spirit. Call today at 323-6711 and begin your journey to serenity at Baja Retreat Anti-Aging Spa.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. I've got my wonderful guest joining me. I've got another text here as well. Mrs. Black, I agree that the church should have more programs that are dedicated to helping with social ills. And I know in particular we are talking about violence against women, but part of the issue is the church is mainly filled with women. And it is not them who need this message. So how do we get the men back in church to hear this message? I don't think you need to get them back in church. I think you go out to where they are, right? I mean, if they ain't coming to you, you go to them. We don't ask the fish to come on land so we can catch them. You got to go out and catch them. You got to go out and do the work. All right, I got joining me, Madam Khandi Gibson from FOAM, and my good friend, Pastor Corey. El Nathan Corey Rolle, Dr. Rolle. Now I got to call him all kind of fun new names now because he's moved up in this wonderful world. It's good to have you, buddy. How are you? Yeah, you can laugh now because you know.
Well, you don't be.
You got all these new names now. And like I said, tell me I lie. All of these new names now, I got to pay attention. It's so good to have you on the show, buddy. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. How are you?
It's great to be on. Great to be on. Great to see the great Khandi Gibson, who continues to go there, transforming lives.
That's right. Life at a time. All right, Corey, listen. Oh, sorry. Pastor Rolle. Pastor Rolle, listen, we are talking about, of course, you know, you and I chatted earlier, and you know, you and I, we go way back as friends, family, even. We feel like we always talk about things that really, when we see these issues of domestic violence, we always chat on these topics. I want to ask you something, Corey. I want to make sure, because you keep it real, I need to make sure that the conversation on domestic violence is one that makes that. I don't want to be emotional on it. We don't want to be emotional on domestic violence. When I say I don't want to be emotional, it's just in this moment we're upset. We want to be intentional and systematic on the issues presented to us. But I try to figure out a lot of things when we talk about domestic violence, when we talk about issues surrounding violence against women and children, and helping our men and helping everyone to try and find a middle ground. How do we do this? How does the country move forward in dealing with issues like anger management, move forward in dealing with issues like domestic violence, in particular, with a focus on our men and boys?
But the complication with it, Khandi, Nahaja, Ms. Gibson mentioned some social ills that is attached to it also, and it's not an easy fix. Okay, I'll say this, and some people may not like me saying this, but it is the fact. A program is not going to change this overnight. 700 programs open up one night is not going to change this overnight because of so many things that's like, for instance, you look at the average woman or average female, I should say, who is in a domestic violence situation. Most of them are staying in these relationships without even saying because of survival. If I'm making $300 a week, if that, my rent is $700. I have 2 to 3 kids who are in school. They have to eat every day. If I get rid of this man, then what? Khandi had talked about there's no shelters, this makes it even more complicated because if a woman right now needs to run and get away, there's a whole lot of gymnastics has to happen that in most cases won't happen within 72 hours. But this woman needs shelter now. Her children need shelter now, and this is the complication that comes along with it. Another issue pertaining to this now is the fact that a lot of them, to me, just have a value situation. They don't value themselves. Where do value come from? Values doesn't come from you listen to an amazing conference, you reading a book. Normally, that is culturally installed in us. From where? Our homes. And so if we are coming from homes where we have no family structure, no culture, we're now speaking to 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, something that should have been instilled in them from they were children. And so now we have a situation where you have a mother who probably herself was molested, who probably herself came up in an abusive home, So like statistically, they did a statistic research some years ago, even with some of the COB students, and culturally, it's almost accepted in the Bahamas that if a woman cheats, she's supposed to get slapped up once or twice. Persons, we heard persons agreeing to this, and anybody who is 40 and over would know. We've seen it. It's almost naturally occurring in our communities. It does not happening in every home. Not every female has experienced it. But how do we address this now? Because we lost a child a few days ago. We have a young lady that's got run over from a young man who she was dating. And so these things happen practically every day in this country. We just hear many persons just hearing it now because they saw videos. But if they talk to an average police officer, they get this stuff every week, every day. Every day in this country, we have persons who are being beaten. We have children who are showing up with burnt marks, who have been abused, molested. Kids having children for older men. It's something that has continued. What we do from here right now, it's that we have to be intentional with laws that make sense, and and social services have to be equipped with a task force. I shouldn't have to wait. Okay, if someone comes to me right now in my youth group or my mentoring program and say I'm being abused, I now have to go down to CDU and report that. The CDU officer now has to report that to social services, who is probably closed at night. So we got to wait till 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning till that person is able to answer whoever is in that department. It's a whole long task. Our agencies need the teeth where they can respond now, instantly. Now, I will say many of our agencies have improved over the years. I will not be the person to beat up and say that we are not equipped enough, and because I've attended a lot of seminars with many of our agencies. They've improved a whole lot pertaining to this, but more needs to be done. And so I think with the new Minister of National Security, I think some amazing things should be happening. And as long as NGOs continue to stay in the forefront saying what needs to happen, I think that's critical and important. We do have a problem. It's a systemic problem. It's in every one of our communities. And right now, young women need to understand and need the help beyond just, I need to pray with you. Khandi said something very important. We do not have nowhere to put you. So right now, you show up to me right now, or I have to go drive by the church because someone is displaced. Where am I going to put you? I can't call a crisis center right now. They're closed. Now what? You know what I mean? And so we have enough minds. We have a lot of persons who are speaking like Khandi pertaining to having shelters. The problem is always going to be funding. And so even in the next budget, there has to be some discussions pertaining now where we're going to move forward. Our children homes have had plenty of attention and continue to be upgraded, properly funded. I've seen great improvement with our children's homes. Now we have to look at what are we going to do pertaining to parents.
Family shelters.
I realized that in the past 5 years now, we've been spending so much attention on youth and children, and we're forgetting the parents.
Yep. Khandi, I see you wanted to add something to that.
Yeah, I wanna piggyback on what he said too. Even with the structure of the family, that's so lacking in our country. The family is broken, and then you must realize too, when these guys enter in relationship, they enter in relationship with the traits they saw keep in the family. I think about it, trying to build a structure, like he said, like a 30-year-old, it's hard.
Yeah. Something that's being added, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black Guardian Radio. Khandi Gibson joining us, founder of FOAM. Pastor Corey Rolle also joining us, youth activist and pastor on the show with us, talking about this issue of domestic violence, of abuse all around, right? One of the things, and someone who's watching is talking about a lot of reasons why women stay is because of shame, and that is a big thing too. That and especially in certain levels of education, if you're supposed to, hey, listen, I have a daddy, I have a mommy, how did I end up in this? My daddy never hit my mommy. How I end up in this relationship where I'm being abused and I'm staying? Or I got a degree. They call me doctor. They call me this. And but yet I am staying in this relationship. There's an issue of shame. You know, have either of you, and Corey, I want to ask you something too about, how men view all of this. Some men are pretty touchy when we start talking about women issues. They get real sensitive about stuff like that. But the conversation of shame too. Khandi, and what you've been dealing with, and when, some of the persons who walk through, is that a major factor?
Yeah, they are very much ashamed, and it's embarrassing because like someone said earlier, these people, it ain't just the low class, the Baintown, the Camp Pro, the Angleton, or the Nassau Village, or the Pinewood lady. It's the upper class ladies too. They're going through this too, you understand me? And especially they think about who their husband is, how would this look? You understand me? So they're in shame. But piggyback onto Corey, something he said when someone comes to you with abuse, when they're being abused right now. I had a situation where someone came to me with some information that this child was being abused. I said, "You sure?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, sure, give me some proof." Now, Haja, when I saw the proof, you understand me, I called social services. The lady said, I have some proof and just whatever. And she's like, "Okay, well, I guess I can take it if I'll forward it on to the person who comes in the morning." And I'm like, the look at these pictures, I'm not sure this person's going to make it to the morning.
That's it.
So I called down to CDU and I spoke to Inspector Smith, very nice officer. And he told me, said, "Come down." When I went there, when I spoke with the lady, the person to the front desk. Now, Haja, I've never seen CDU move fast in my whole life. You hear me? Time is before I reach home, I got a call from the person who gave me information. They said, "You went to the police." I said, "Yes." I said, "Because the police officer right here now making arrests."
Excellent.
And that was excellent, you understand me? And so I want to say big up the CDU, those who worked that night, big up them. Miss Robin Thompson. She worked social services. She was a part of the team. And I want to just tell them thank you so much because they save a child life. So, but moving forward, Nahaja, we need a gender-based violence unit inside the stations.
Yeah. Yes.
We need a gender-based violence. I know if you go to Doctor's Hospital, I don't know what you call the lady job description, but if you go there for some type of abuse, her job is to come to you and she finds what's going on and she finds you feel safe and she's not going to force you to press charges, but she's going to see if you want to make charges and she's still going to tell you the legalities and tell you the do's and the don'ts and the if and the ands and the buts. And I think we need like gender-based violence unit inside the station. Not know when you go to the station report, or you want to go forward them, or that's your boyfriend, that's your husband. You choose to no, we don't need that. And if I come to the station a day and report my boyfriend and I go withdraw the charge tomorrow and I come the next day, it might be tired, but your job is take my statement, work and make his eye thinking, so I think you're in love right now. You understand me? And so we need people who are going to be like long suffering and long and bearing. You understand me? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to be with you. We love them. They say the hard ones. I love them. I like my boyfriend, and that's it. And so, and the Bible says, love covers a multitude of sins. When you're in love with somebody, you look beyond their fault. So I would want to don't call Sarah or Jane or Mary stupid because she chooses to stay with Jack or John. No, he beating her. She is stupid. Everybody have the same grace of strength. You might have strength to walk over. So help Mary. Hold Mary hand till she get together. And that's how we have to do as a community, not pull down each other. Don't let a lady think, because the lady wearing a nice red lipstick, she got together. No, she's broken. She wearing red lipstick, but her lips are broken. She wearing eyelashes, but she cried so many tears last night. And that's where we are in the country. We need to be sympathetic. We need to be empathetic. We just need to be. We just now. We need to start strengthening sisters. And you brought
What?
Miss, my phone don't stop ringing.
Yeah, Corey, and I think I just lost. We just lost my friend just now for a second there. Khandi for a second. But I want to add your thoughts to that as well, just on the empathy side of it, on the long suffering. What would you say? Corey, if you're just doing, actually, you know what, we need to take a break, but I want to ask you this question. And I'm figuring, should I do this on the other side of the break? Let's take a break, Corey, because I want to ask you something as we get Khandi back with regard to how do we deal with this from the side of the male perspective. the male perspective in gender-based violence. I see Khandi came back, but we'll take a quick break. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. We'll be back right after this.
J.S. Johnson Insurance agents are the best. Reliable service, we've been on the scene, protecting since 1919. J.S. Johnson Insurance has the test. Always covered me. J.S. Johnson Insurance, peace of mind.
We are working to protect our country, our people, and our livelihoods so that we can move forward. The vaccine is safe. The vaccine is easy. The vaccine is essential for our recovery. If we want to rebuild our economy, if we want to get back to our jobs, if we want to get back to our lives, our families, we must do this together.
Your child needs nutrients every day, and Enfagrow has DHA and iron, which supports your child's mental development. Enfagrow has components which cow's milk does not contain. Support your toddler's growth and complement their diet with Enfagrow. Let's fuel the wonder. This product is not intended to be a substitute for breast milk. Milk does not contain DHA, but contains calcium and other nutrients.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. It's the Hit Back.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black, Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Before we move any further, I don't know if you guys are following this, but it's coming to the last week of Arawak X's big, initial offerings. We know that Red Lobster was one, and that we had Groove, which is also another one. And so today, Red Lobster has over 1,200 investors and has raised over $1.8 million. Red Lobster is coming, and there is only 5 days left to invest in arawakx.com. Email invest@arawakx.com or call 810-0333. That's 810-0333 for more information. And also Groove, only 5 days left to get your Groove on for just $16 a share. I really like this one. This is one of those technical touring sort of deals, and I really like this one. Invest in Groove, the Facebook of tourism tech. Seriously, this one I really like, and it's only $16 a share. You only have 5 more days. Get involved. Invest now on Arawak X. Email invest@arawakx.com or call 810-0333 for more information. That's 810-0333. Listen, sometimes you just got to get to the ground floor. Arawak X gives us the opportunity to get to the ground floor. Red Lobster and Groove, both very good. I love what Red Lobster has, the franchise for the region, franchise licensing for the region. For me, that's fantastic because your Caribbean people like teens. Y'all like name brand. So y'all can get lobster from the dog, but something from lobster coming from Red Lobster, all of a sudden it could taste different. Y'all like eat. But the best part of the business model is that they have this licensing for the region. And that is wonderful. Count your blessings. The region is Jamaica, Cuba, Dominican Republic. Count it. That's the region. That's exciting. I say get it. And of course, Groove, which also has the ability to franchise out of country. It's Wednesday. I want y'all, if you can, $16 a share there. Red Lobster is $25 a share. Go to arawakx.com or an email at invest@arawakx.com. All right. I want to bring back on my guests as I see my good friend, Pastor Corey Rule, making a walkabout. But I want to bring on Khandi, and Corey will give me the thumbs up when he's ready to come back on. Khandi Gibson, founder of Foam, joining us on the show. So I'm excited to have you, Khandi. Thank you so much. And of course, when Corey comes back, we're talking about domestic violence. And Khandi, you've been sharing a lot of a lot of powerful things, especially from someone who has been on the ground. You are on the ground. You are dealing with people within the community, and you are seeing all of the faces of it. The biggest, and this conversation stems from what we've seen again, like another video. And someone says, please repeat the number. The number is 810-810-0333, 810-0333. That's for our WACX. This conversation, though, Khandi, it stems from what we saw. Another video of violence, right? We've got Bella. But before Bella, there was another video. There was Abaco or Andres throwdown. There was a video of a police officer grabbing the neck of a tiny woman compared to him. I mean, and just that level of violence, right? We're seeing this. We're seeing a lot of this going on in country. And I think we got to get moved way beyond talking. Right, Khandi? Way beyond talking. And organizations like yours need action. And I want to ask you, and I see Corey is ready as well. I want to ask you, what are the top 5 things, Khandi, home needs from the Bahamian public?
First of all, home needs prayers. You can't do nothing without prayers. So we need prayers. I want to say, like, we need repairs to the shelter. The shelter needs repairs. We also need grocery. We cannot stop feeding the people. We cannot stop feeding the people. The people need grocery. We need clothing. We need funds. Presently, our telephone lines, I'm not going to be ashamed to say it, our telephone line, internet is off. It's disconnected. At the end of the day, to run an organization, you need funds to run an organization. And so we need funding. We need monetary donation. We need clothing. We need grocery. The shelter need repairs. And like I said, I'm moving forward to opening and establishing a 24-hour Bella Care, and that's coming soon. Put it in your pipe, people, and smoke it. We doing stuff. We already have a housing lady, so I did that part. And so my passion, which when we did a meeting to Ministry of Health, and I mentioned them 2 years ago. I said, we need a 24-hour care. We need that. I even went to the police station because on Eastern Hill they have a daycare for the police officer children. But this, what I want to offer, I don't want mothers to have to struggle or worry how they're gonna pay the daycare. I want funding for this, so mothers can drop their children off, and they will be sure we're gonna have first. We're gonna be certified in CPR. We're gonna have certified teachers on board, certified daycare persons on board, and so forth. And so I want persons feel that they would know, and we have 24-hour security. Your babies are gonna be safe, okay? And so I want persons to feel that it's gonna be something great you would be supporting and actually sponsoring or donating to. It's gonna be an awesome cause. Persons, I would admonish you, let Bella situation, let it be an eye opener for us to do our part, because many times we in our community, we see that child walking barefoot, we see that little girl walk with a hearing flat, we see the way she dressed, we see that mother went to work and she leave nothing over the children. Man, that ain't gonna hurt you to cook a pot of corn and rice. That ain't gonna hurt you. Hey, right. Mom, what's up? You all right? You all right? Yeah, I see you work hard. Yeah, I see and then the mom will start, is it okay, Mom? Is it okay, Mom? When I cook, sometimes I cook so much food, Mom, a lot is left. But it's okay if I share some of my dinner with your children. And you just start getting to know your neighbor. And I ain't gonna lie, first, I am guilty that all of my neighbors through my corner know me. I don't even know them. Yeah. So if I need some lard or some toner or one toothpaste or one soap,
your neighbors,
I am lost. I tell you, because when I come home, only I just do is go straight to the house and tell someone call me when they need grocery or someone get killed or I have to dash back over something with my daughter. But when I come home, I go straight home and I don't come back out and tell it as an emergency. So I must do my part too. So I promise myself that as I'm Saturday, I'm going to walk through my neighborhood and I'm going to follow the names of my neighbors and get their contact. I'm going to be neighborly before the end of the year. I promise myself that.
Let me just say this before I get Corey on. Khandi Gibson, Phone Bahamas, needs her internet and phone cut on. I would hope that today, Cable Bahamas, Rev, all of them, and BTC will be fighting you to give you free service for your hotline. And we are going to set that as a challenge to these corporations that are making millions off of the Bahamian people, and that an organization like yours should not have to pay a monthly fee for internet and phone because of the charity and the importance of the work that you do. So I'm calling on Cable Bahamas. I'm calling on BTC. Fight to provide the service and then take your photo. Do the photo up. Do the photo up. Khandi don't mind. But we need this to be something that is done. And then we don't just want free phone and free internet. We also need a check for $20,000. Thank you, Cable. Thank you, BTC, for your work well done on providing Foam Bahamas this wonderful gift. Corey, I want to get you in. I want to ask this question to you before I know, and time is flying. It's amazing how quickly time flies. But I want to ask you this, Corey, because this is one of the challenges that I find that in this country. I remember sitting in a meeting, Corey. I was sitting in a meeting with two men. And I lost Corey. How could I lose Corey right when I needed to ask him this question? But I'll tell you the story, and we'll hopefully, Khandi, he'll be there as well to hear it. I hope he's listening in his car. But I was sitting in this meeting, Khandi, two fellas, two men, both names, if I were to say, would be well-known names. But that's why I was younger. The footballer who had knocked out his girlfriend I don't know if you remember that. Corey remembers it. Hey. Corey, you remember the footballer?
I was missing for a while.
Don't worry about that. There was a footballer who knocked out his fiance in the elevator. You remember him? He was with the Ravens. He was a running back, right? And when he knocked her out, there was a conversation that was being had that we were having this big discussion. And the fella said, one of the fellows who's well-respected said to me, well, Nahaja, listen, sometimes the woman need to get tapped up. What'd she say? Now, mind you, the football player knocked her so hard, her head hit the elevator, the handle in the elevator. Unconscious, he had to drag her out of the elevator. And the respected men who would never think I'd hear say such foolishness said, well, listen, what did she say? What? I have to ask this question now. Some brothers get offended when we start talking about you have to protect your women and your children. Why is it in this culture or in our country, this is seemingly an offensive thing, and some brothers get all up in their feelings as if this is an agenda to make them small or disappear? I say that shows that there's a need for mental health and a retraining and retooling of what it means to be a man. So I need your help because Ray Rice, that's his name. I couldn't remember his name. Ray Rice. So Corey, help me out here.
You're 100% correct. I just had this conversation with my youth last week, Friday, pertaining to what is a man. The thing is about manhood and becoming and growing into being a man is normally that is a process. You know what I said? It's a process. You're male. But becoming a man is a process normally that is done through mentorship, through fatherhood or fathering. And when you have men who have not been fathered, who have not been mentored, or hasn't come up in a healthy community, then, what you're actually seeing is just a product of their environment. And so, like you had mentioned, you find a lot of our young men who would be like, man, that's just the normal, you just tap up a girl, she step out of place. And so forth. I'll give you a little history with me. A few years ago, I was dating a young lady, and the terminology be like, you peep ghosts. Mm-hmm. And so I caught her with a guy, and so it ended up turning into a little movie. So the movie was this: I pulled up into the area, and as she approached the vehicle, my foot was on gas and brakes, and at that time I had something in my vehicle. And my hand was on the object. And so I muscle up the nerve to put my car in park. Notice what I said just now. I muscle up the nerve to put my car in park. Did the thought run through my mind to run my car over her? Nahaja, yes. Mm-hmm. That's the first time as a young man that I ever almost went to the point of blacking out, became numb. And I didn't really catch myself until I left the situation. So I ended up in this gentleman's house, running after her. He dashed upstairs. And in the midst of my rage and anger, I caught myself. And I walked out of the house, Naja, and jumped back in my car and drove home. That incident that happened about 15, 17 years ago has transformed my life in many different areas. Because I want men to know that even if, God forbid, you're in that situation, you do have the ability to walk away.
Yeah.
My message to men and women today is this. No matter who you're in love with, who you've given your life to, who you've given birth for, this is the mother of your children, this is the husband of your children, this is your boyfriend, baby daddy, whatever title they have. Anybody has the right to walk out of your life at any time.
That's right.
And until you're able to understand that, you are in a very dangerous position. Because you don't have the right to cancel someone's life because they decided to grab a next piece of warm blanket. As hurtful as that may seem, as hurtful as that must be, you must always give mankind and human beings the right to do whatever they can. And Nahaja, that right there, that moment in my life was a turning point, because I now experience firsthand why men spend 20 years to life. It's called crime of passion. You understand me? And I survived because I muscled the will to walk out that home with my tail between my hips, and I looked at every loophole. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I wish I had run my car into every loophole, because it's a demoralizing situation. But when I went home, guess what I did, Naja? I popped no Hennessy, and I sit on the block and smoke with the doors. I go on to sleep, man. Wake up and wake up and keep plugging on. Today, I'm here today. No 17 years of life, no criminal record. You know what I mean? And so my message to young men and women is this, simple as this, babe. You need to have some value of yourself. Because once you have a purpose in life, listen to me, no matter what the enemy continues to throw at you, you must dig deep down inside yourself and continue to move on. If you listen to stories that Khandi has went through as a younger woman, dating different men, and the list goes on, she can give you graphical stories. Every man and woman I can think about right now who's in the trenches, who are giving back to society, has had dark moments in their lives. And guess what? They found it, dig deep inside within themselves, and were able to overcome. And so my message to young men out there, young women out there, listen to me very carefully. We live in a very strange world. Very, very, very strange world. And so you living this world right now without God is suicidal.
Yes.
Very suicidal. And so we have to get to the point now where we become intentional and teaching boys and young men who have not had the ability to be fathered, who never had a daddy inside of their lives, for that to happen now. And so that goes beyond just picking a young man and dropping him off the church. You know what I mean? It requires sometimes. Go ahead.
Listen, I want us to continue, but we fresh out of time, so we have to do this again. It has to happen again. I love you guys. Thank you so much, Corey. Thank you so much, Khandi. Don't forget BTC Cable Bahamas. Khandi needs phone and internet service plus 20 grand. Y'all make it happen. I appreciate you all for doing it. You're listening to the Hit Back with Nahaja Black. Everyone have a great day. Please stay safe and walk away. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow.